Hello there, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to My Friends Love podcast, and I am your host, Virginia Njuguna. Yes, karibuni sana to this beautiful episode. We are in the second week of June. I hope you're keeping safe and taking care of yourself, and I hope you're also well. If you are not well, you can reach out to someone. You can also DM us on our Instagram. And if it is something we know we can help, we can do it together. But we pray about it also and get to know how we're going to solve it. Amaniaje. So yes, on this beautiful episode, I'd love to say thank you for the feedback you gave about the episode we had about church hurt. And people reached out, and I would love to say 3 people were testifying of how that entire episode really helped them, because they were in a place of bitterness and they were where they were. And I'm grateful. The fact that 2 or 1 person has told me that, Virginia, what you did was God sent, man. I appreciate and I say thank you, God, for using me for that. Now, on this episode, it's not far from that topic, but at the same time, let me say, it relates, zinarelatiana, because the topic itself is about past hurt still hurts. Yani zile hurts za kitambo, they still hurt up to now, and we live normally tukijua manze our life iko poa and everything, until something happens and it takes you back. It takes you back to maybe someone hurt you. It takes you back to the it reminds you of the period you were hurt, and it really destroys your mood. It destroys you completely, because imekukumbusha what happened back then. And this one thing I'd love to call them, we all know they are called triggers, because these kuna ngoma unaweza sikia manze ikukumbushe of something that happened kitambo, or someone's name can be mentioned and you're like, man, your entire mood changes, or just anything. You know what triggers you as an individual, reminding you of the things that really hurt you back then, and maybe there are things that you have not dealt with. And I'd love to say, maybe it's church-wise. Maybe you were hurt in church. Maybe you were hurt by family. Yes, the family itself. Maybe you were hurt also where you were working before, and still whenever someone mentions the organization, or you just see a billboard, or yani tu kitu relating to that company, it reminds you of how people treated you there, or something that happened to you. And I would love to say right now at this place is that if you are still being triggered by such circumstances inakufanya urudi uko nyuma, it's time for you to deal with it, because the more you allow it and pretend that uko sawa, or pretend that everything will be okay, it won't be okay until you deal with it. These are things that haunt people years down the line, and you'll realize mse ameishi na bitterness because they didn't let go of something that hurt them kitambo. For me, I'd love to say many people have been hurt by family, and mecha tu niseme nimechapa character development left, right and center, from church now to family. And growing up really is not a good tukiwa dogo tulikuwa tunatamani kukua kubwa, but right now when you're growing older, we are like, man, heri tukiwa watoi, because manze there were no many things that you were dealing with. And one thing I'd love to see, even when we were children, now for me it's family, because I remember when I was a child, I could see people mistreating or treating my mom so rudely. And for them it was okay with them, but nikiwa mtoi nilikuwa najiuliza, mbona wanaongelesha mom hivyo? Mbona wakikuja kwetu dad akiwa wako poa, lakini dad akienda job wanajifanya wao ndio wako si kujifanya, but wanatuonyesha wao ndio wako in authority, and we all have things in the family that really hurt us. And for me, I've been struggling with that for quite some time, until now God is also allowing me to deal with it, because those are past traumas. Whenever I encounter a certain cousin, we will not be in good terms, because when I was a child, I saw how they were treating my mom. I saw how when they came to our home, they could even, I could even hear rumors when I was a child. I could even hear rumors about our family, and these are rumors that were not true, because I'm a child. I know the truth of some other things, you know. Na nilikuwa nashanga. So right now naweza kutana na kuzo na kuna msisi ongeangi na yeye kwa sababu I saw what they did. I know they're the ones who went and spread the rumors, but God is helping me deal with that thing. As I was growing, because of now what the things that were happening in the family, I remember I could, every time I'm making a prayer, I could tell God, please unite our family. May people get to know you in our extended family. May people get to love you. May we all get to be united and love one another. Hey, until now, when now our grandparents passed on, is when now reality hit. People started, the real colors of people could come out, and God has really helped me deal with hatred and bitterness. And it's still a work in progress, because kuna watu pia decide still it's not easy for me. Tukikutana, I'll just keep quiet and I will not interact with you. But God is really helping me slowly, because it's not an instant change. He's helping me deal with it. Maybe it's for you, maybe it's your dad who hurt you, maybe you were molested by your uncle when you were young, and every time you see him, or every time you think about the family, you remember the pain. And yes, I know there are scars that remind us of our past, or things that happened before, but there's a difference between, yes, the scars and also us not dealing with what really happened and moving on with life. I'll give an example of a scenario. I'll not go specific. Yes, and again, I'm not here to shame anyone or anything, but this is something I know someone can relate from wherever they are. I remember when I was in campus, first year. Yes, when I was in first year, my mom was diagnosed with some illness, and she went akaenda akafanya operation. And because my dad was traveling a lot, his job ilikuwa ya ku travel sana. I was the one, niko shule, but I'm the one helping my mom from kudischarge from Hosi. Alikuwa amelazwa Mbagathi Hospital. And so I came, alifanya operation, nikaenda nikamsaidia ku pack her things, took her home. And the good thing, the car that took us was a taxi from Mbagathi. The good thing, the taxi was someone my dad knows, you know. So in the process, so mimi nikampeleka home, tukaenda home vizuri. She was still in pain, and we preferred us going home with her, nimshughulikie, other than her staying in the hospital, because she could have done it herself. And I remember I came home, one thing I forgot her phone in the car. So I was forced to, the following day, niamke nijitayarishe niende nichukue simu where inakuanga, the place inakuanga. At the same time, kuna dawa nilikuwa ninunue the previous day when I was going for her, but hazikuwa. So we were told, come tomorrow utazipata. So we took advantage of that. Nikaenda nichukue madawa. At the same time nichukue simu, then I come home. We were living with our relatives in our home, being brought up, tumelelewa na our cousins come, our aunties come, tunaishi na wao, and we bond and tunakuwa like they are part of us. Even when you could come, you could notice manze, this, if they are our age mates, tungetreat ni kama they are our sisters or our brothers. So I remember that time I had relatives at home, and also because ni mingi because now our relative was my age. They were my age and older kidogo, so there were several of them. I don't want to specify. So I had already introduced them to my friends. So, you know, my friends were their friends. We had lived for quite some time together. And I remember nikatoka. So the morning I told her, this is water, warm water for my mom in the flask. This is her milk. No, there were things specifically for her and some painkillers, because we were given painkillers to give her. So, and I told her, in case mom needs anything, please, here they are. And they were even, they could access our parents' bedroom, because, you know, my mom is not okay and I'm not around. So simi nikaenda Hosi kuchukua hizo vitu. The moment I came back, to my surprise, I found my small brother. He was very young at that age. I found him crying on my mom's bed, and he's crying because he found my mom crying and she was in pain. She couldn't do anything by herself. She needed help. So my brother was telling, you know, children are still honest and they can just say whatever has happened. So my brother was like, mama alikuwa hapa, alikuwa anawaita wamsaidia, lakini hawakuwa wanamsaidia. And it was such a painful moment, even to see the house, how I left it is the way I found it. And to making matters worse, later on my mom told me, because now the bedroom is close to the living room, she could hear the conversations they were having with my friends. Yes, with my friends. So she didn't want to give me details, she gave me way later. But that thing really hurt me, because the same people, we don't relate the same up to now. And that is something I thought I dealt with until right now. We are meeting now, I think like 4-5 years later. Mi nadhani tulimaliza tuko sawa, mi tunaweza pitana na yeye, because I still see her and something reminds me of what she did, because my mom was at her very desperate state. And I remember that was a week, the following week I had exams. And I was not commuting, I was living in school. But because of my mom's condition, I had to come back home and attend to her. Now you can imagine, these are relatives. At the same time, I have had other relatives talking ill of my mom or talking ill of me because of what, because I don't know, but I don't even know the reasons to why these things happen. I know there's someone who can relate towards these things, because unajua, you can't involve your relatives when it comes to family, when it comes to decision making about your success. You can never inform them, because they will not be happy about it. So that is one thing God reminded me, Josie. I'm like, even the friend, so the surprising, even the friends, they were involved in it. They wali contribute kwa hiyo conversation, you can imagine. And these are the people I called friends. So it brings me back to a place of who are now, do we even have friends in this life? Are there the relatives? These are the people we thought we could run to. And it was such a painful moment, but God, Josie, when we met and I couldn't talk to them, it's when God reminded me, hey, this is something you should deal with. Yes, they did that. It is in the past. It is in the past. It is up to you to move on. For you can't move on when you're still holding them back. And for you, maybe you were molested or anything happened to you when you were young. Maybe you went through so much when you were young because of someone was in a position to help you, but because of their pride or because of how they were, they couldn't help you, yet they are in your family. It is time for you to really let go, because it hurts as much as we expect the people in our families to be of help. God still tells us, you know what, pray for them. I remember there are times I could go to God, and because I know we should pray for our relatives. I always really pray for unity and love. I remember I could go to God, and the moment nifike pati ya family, I could just breathe in and out and just say amen. Because it was so painful, I couldn't understand. This is just an example, one of the many things that happened. And then God is telling you to pray for these people. But because I really want to let go, and mi ndio nabaki na hiyo mzigo, mi ndio nabaki na hiyo, ni kama gunia mingi za zimejaa, and they are so heavy on you, until you let go and let God take charge of your heart, then yani utaishi struggle nayo. So one thing I'd love to tell you, this is just, yes, as an example of what we've gone through in family, but maybe you've gone through worse. Maybe you've gone through just like me, and maybe you're even going through it right now. May God really give you strength and grace. And let me tell you one thing, there is light. You will not be there forever. We were not in that situation forever. I remember them saying that my mom must die because she doesn't deserve to live. But one thing I always kept telling my mom is that, Mom, they are not God. They're not the one to determine whether you should live or die. It is only God, and God has kept her. So together as a family, God is teaching us to forgive and to love. Yes, we will love from a distance. Yes, we will. You need to forgive and still be, yes, you're in family because they are a part of your family. Yes, it's okay for you to mingle, interact, but there are times ni kungori. There are times you have to keep that distance and tell them, you know what, yes, I love you, but I love you from a distance. Yes, I pray for you. Yes, all these things. And I just do it from a distance because hatuwezi ivuka. The trust was already broken and we cannot mend it. These are scars. Now we go to the scars. Yes, sometimes God gives you scars. When you look at them, you just look back and say, yeah, God, I went through a lot, but you are still with me. I am smiling right now because you helped me overcome all those things that I went through. So past hurts, if they're still hurting you, it's time for you to just have a meeting with yourself and tell yourself, you know what, Manze, it has been too much for me, but I think it's time to let go. And the moment you let go, God takes charge. Yeye ni yeye atadeal na hao watu Kenya atataka. Usitake kufanya the revenge on yourself, because the people, yes, you went through a lot, unataka ku revenge. Because I remember I was saying when I was young, when I grow up, I will have so much money and I will not help them. I will see them suffer and I will not help them. That is what that was. Hiyo ndio ilikuwa inagrow ndani yangu. But you know what? God has taught me to let go and let him. Yeye ndiye atafanya revenge. Vengeance is for him. Yeye ndiye atakurevengeia na usiibebe at any point. So yeah, forgive. Even if maybe it's something you also did to yourself, the mistakes you did in the past, you still remember, you still see something that reminds you of the mistake you did back then. We serve a God that forgives. We serve a God that walks with you, and he tells you, come as you are, and you will not stay as you are. He will walk with you and become better. So if it is to forgive yourself, forgive yourself. God has already forgiven you. Allow him now to work in you, work on you, yani everything. I'll deal na wewe. And I saw this video of it was an animation of a broken, someone whose heart was broken. Na kuna emoji ya heart broken, hiyo emoji. So alikuwa anajifungia, and then God was asking her, that girl, for that heart, but she's like, no, this is only what I have. But the moment she allows God anaivunja alafu inakuwa into pieces. But the beauty about God, he brings you now a new life. So let go and let God. Yes, there are those traumas. Zitafute. Sit, have a meeting with yourself, write them down. If it's that music, mbona inanikumbusha, what can I do about it, you know? And God will help you heal from that. That is where the journey begins. The moment you accept, manze, there are triggers that I have that really remind me of my past. It's time for me to wake up and give God, and he will take charge. So on this episode is to remind you, yes, there are triggers that really remind you of what happened, but God is giving you a new opportunity, a great opportunity to let go and let him. Yeye ata revenge kivyake. Yani, tunasemanga malipo ni hapa duniani. That's what people say. But you know what? Vengeance is for God. I don't know how it can be. I don't know what God will still deal with them. They're still God's children, you know? They're still God's children. But he loves you. Thank you for this episode. I hope it will help someone, and we will heal and become better as Christ really wants us to be. You can have this relationship with Christ because a good one. Thank you for having us. You can follow us on our social media platforms. My Friends Love, Instagram, TikTok, Njuguna Viji on Instagram also. Na tusambaze injili, tusambaze gospel ya Yesu. See you on our next episode, guys, and heal.